today I've got a real-time video because these little drawings don't take me that long, so I thought I'd do a real-time video instead of a speed paint, and then you guys can see my watercolours in action. So this Monday, I do believe it was Pokemon Day, and it was the 21st anniversary of Red and Green being released in Japan, and it's like 21 years, holy smokes. And I wanted to celebrate Pokemon Day because for the 20th anniversary last year I actually started using watercolours, and that's incredible, right? So it's been a year fully, like Pokemon Day and Watercolour Day. So I decided to do the first three starters, which are Bulbasaur, Charmander and Squirtle, and then I looked at their original sprites and I painted Bulbasaur in his original colours from the sprite only. So there's black, and then there's like two shades of green. There's like yellowy green and a darker green, and then they used black to do any other parts of the sprite. And what I'm going to do, so I've left space up here. I'm not going to film this bit, but what I'm going to do is put the Japanese name and the Japanese Pokédex entry, and I'm going to handwrite them all in ink, and these are going to be framed originals for my table at Liverpool Comic Con. And yeah, so I'm quite pleased with how this one came out. There's like little cherry blossom petals and things. So yeah, I have already sketched out Bulbasaur and Squirtle and Charmander, and I've chosen to go with Charmander's design for from his red and green sprite. On the back of his sprite in red and green, he had spikes on his back, which I thought was super cute. And Squirtle had a really round head. Go check out the original sprites. I've put them in a thumbnail anyway, so yeah. I've also colour picked the colours on Photoshop for me to be able to see a little bit more visually, like more easily visual, so I can actually get the colours spot on when I mix. I also have Palette Cam, which is going to show you what kind of colours I use and how I go about mixing them, and that's going to pop up from time to time so you can see what colours I'm using, and I will try and remember the names of the half pans that I'm using so you can make a note of that yourself. So yes, let's get right into it. So I'm probably going to start with Charmander. So I'll talk a little bit about Pokemon and how long I've been playing Pokemon, because I've just posted on Instagram. I did it a little bit late. I've just posted asking people to ask me questions about watercolour and anything that they would like to know. So let me just get Palette Cam working. There we go. So I'm going to use this orange, which is, I don't have a clean palette space, I'll use this one. A bit of purple in there, but that's okay. This one is, I believe, Chrome Orange. If I get any of the names wrong, I mean, I don't make a habit of remembering the names. If I get any of the names wrong, a little thing will pop up, I'm sure. I do have a full list of all of the colours in this set. So this orange is absolutely beautiful. It's just straight from the half pan. It's not quite the colour, it's a bit more yellowy than I need. So I'm going to add something to cool it down. And I'm probably going to add, let's try blue. Just a touch of blue to cool it down. It's getting closer. Might add a bit of green. Might go too green though. I'm going to add a bit of warm yellow back in. Probably not going to show up the tiny nuances between. I might use purple instead. Yeah, that's closest. The webcam won't pick up the tiny nuances between colour that obviously I can see with my eye, but so you'll notice I haven't used let's have a look, where's the light? do it from the top. So you'll notice that I haven't outlined, and that's because I want it to look a bit sketchy, a bit softer. What I used to outline the Bulbasaur was watercolour. So I'm just going to paint a rough edge to where I want the colour to stretch to. This is his base tone, add a bit more water. This is the fluid cold press that you know that I hark on about quite a bit, and it's the 6x8 and it's beautiful. I love this paper so much. Oh, I forgot, I brought some little Pokemon to hang out with me. These are some of my figurines from my collection. I seem to have a love of green Pokemon because these are all some of my favourites. Tyranitar is my favourite Pokemon, so yeah. So I really like this wet edge that watercolour gives, so I will, let's just zoom out just a touch. See, with a real-time video, it's going to have a lot more, like, it's not going to have any fancy camera cuts or anything like that. Not that I do, like, super fancy cuts, but yeah. So this is a little bit of a challenge because I'm limiting my colour usage and kind of relying on how watercolours will work and blend to create my image. So I'm adding more water here and just letting it sit where it sits. Where it fits, it sits. So Charmander's sprite in the red and green had pretty big feet as well as the spines. You'll notice with watercolour a little goes a long way. So I do prefer half pans for this because I feel like I waste more when I use a tube. Even though you do get more vibrant colours with tube watercolours, I've found. But I do prefer using half pans, it's just a lot tidier, a lot neater. Okay, so leaving some areas white because I can't use a lighter colour to show highlights. Let's check. Oh, I've got quite a few comments, okay. Let's see. Refresh. So, we have Kaylee Maylee Art asked, can you tell the difference between Cotman's and professional half pans? Is there a true difference? So, yes, that there is a difference, but not a difference that you have to, you know, whoops, I've made my colour too dark. Ah, oh no. Oh no, I've lost my original colour. Let's just wipe that out. There is a difference. Professionals are a lot more heavily pigmented. I believe they actually have natural pigments, which is why they cost so much. Just want a touch of purple. There we go. As you can see in my palette, I have some professionals here, and this one is the orange one. Like about half of these are now professionals, and they're a lot softer, so you can kind of see them in the actual palette very quickly. They tend to be a lot softer and not as chalky, and they leave a less chalky finish. The pigments are brighter, stronger. They have different pigments like this cobalt turquoise light, which is my favourite. And yeah, they are worth the money entirely, but they are very expensive. So the Cotmans themselves are really vibrant and bright anyway, and are incredible regardless. But the professional ones are just that little extra, like, superior in my opinion. But I mean, each one is between like £4 to £6 each, whereas you can buy the whole set of Cotmans for like £30 and you get like all 45 of these. And it's like, you don't need them, but they are nice. And if you're going to go into watercolours a lot, like I have, if you're willing to devote time and effort to practicing and selling watercolours, then look into professionals, because I've also heard they archive longer than student brand watercolours. So that's the main difference, is you get like student brand and professional brand. And like anything, there's always going to be a high quality to a professional brand. Miss Danig says, what pens or inks would you suggest for lining art that you're going to watercolour? So my favourites are the Zebra. The Zebra brush pens are really good. Zebra food brush pens. This one's a hard. I also like the Tombow Fudenos pens. Oh, there's one. There's one. And these are both waterproof and give really good line weight. The Pentel Brush Pen tends to either be not waterproof or completely waterproof, and it's really weird. But if you look on the pen itself, if it's not in Japanese, it should say whether it's waterproof. Avoid anything that's water-based ink, or look for like pigment-based inks and make sure that it says waterproof, not just like water-resistant or anything like that. I know Copic multiliners are waterproof. I'm not sure about Sakura Koi. I can't remember now. Koi, no, not Koi. Sakura Pigments, sorry. Sam Thornton, when you are using watercolours, do you generally paint on wet or dry paper, and does it make a difference? It does make a difference. I tend to paint on dry most of the time, but if you paint on wet, you tend to get a bit more of a blend. But I really like these hard edges. I'm still teaching myself, so it's down to like what I'm experimenting with that day. So I'm just using, I think this is Scarlet Lake, and this is a professional tone as well, and like you can just see the colour in that. Look at it, ugh. And that was just the tiniest amount of water, and I've got all this pigment straight away. I also find that professional watercolours tend to be a lot more opaque, and you need less of them, like I said earlier. Yeah, that'll do. So this is going to be a really strong colour, and it's going to be... There we go. Sorry, I'm just concentrating very heavily on this. So his tail is like... The way they've done the sprite, you can see, is that they obviously used the red shadow colour to draw the tail, and then used the colour of his base colour, like the orange, to do the flame, which is quite interesting. Yeah, so I typically paint on dry, but I do like painting on wet media, and it's quite fun, and it gives some really interesting... I'm going to do an example of wet with the tail, because you can kind of use it as a mask, almost. Obviously not as reliable as masking fluid, but sometimes I do also spray my paper, but not often enough, I don't think. Okay, Bunny Blushies, what is a good beginner watercolour brand, or good brand in general? So I am very, very biased towards Winsor & Newton. I really like their Cotman range, especially for beginners. That's what I started with. I got my palette really cheap when I worked in an art shop. And my favourite brand is Winsor & Newton by far. And I don't think I could I can't really honestly recommend another brand because I haven't tried anything except super cheap watercolours, like for watercolour challenges. But I can fully recommend Winsor & Newton Cotman for beginners, definitely, because then once you've got used to their watercolours, you can then branch out into the professionals if you so wish. And yeah, they're really good. I really like using them. I want to get into watercolours and have no idea where to even start. Do you have any tips? Yeah, get yourself whatever you can afford. Don't go nuts and get like loads of professional paints. Get yourself some cheap synthetic brushes, as long as they're soft, and like acrylic brushes work, but stay away from anything like oil brushes. Cheap paper, just have fun, really. Test things out and see if you actually like that medium. I mean, oh no, I've got a hair stuck. Damn it. This is gonna be, there we go, I got it. And now I've ruined it. Yeah, just have fun, experiment. I'm gonna be doing a beginner's tutorial on watercolours very soon. Probably next week actually, so stay tuned for that. OG Chaos, what are your favourite watercolour paper pads? Fluid. Ah. Fluid watercolour paper is my favourite by far. I also like the Winsor & Newton Artists paper. Cotman's nice too, but it tends to be a bit more uniform in its patterns. Okay, I think Charmander is done here. I'm going to now wet this area. In the shape of a flame, and now I've got to kind of like lean so I can see where I've put my water. Build it up. So because the media around him is dry, it shouldn't move too much. Build up more and more water. Should stay in the space, and it has. So you won't be able to see it on cam, but now I'm going to just go straight in and let it. Whoa! This always amazes me. And you can see it kind of stops. It's just hypnotic. But it's going to take a long time to dry. It's not like oil painting long, but cool. Upstairs it's doing a hoover. Thanks, upstairs. I'm sure you guys will hear it. Shout out to my upstairs neighbours who want to hoover while I'm making a real-time video. Funny story, like, one of my neighbours ordered a Twitch t-shirt from like the Twitch online store, so I'm guessing someone in this building watches Twitch. I'm like, oh my god, we watch Twitch together. And it's funny because like they live in the same building as a Twitch streamer and they don't even know it. Well, I assume they don't know it. So I'd say Charmander's body is roughly done. I'm going to have to be very careful around that because I want it to dry exactly like that, and it's going to take a while. So I'm going to go a little bit more nuts with the screen's gone off. Yeah. So I'm going to go a little bit more nuts with the floor and add more colour in the floor than there would be in the game. So I went with like a rocky, because like I'm thinking like where you get these Pokemon in Pokemon Yellow, because that was my first Pokemon game. And yeah, how old was I? I must have been about 8 or 9. I got Pokemon Yellow, and I saved up so much money for it. There's a funny story with it actually. I was living in Canada at the time, and I did loads of chores, and I managed to save up $30. And I was like, So it had taken me about a month and then saved up $30 from doing chores. And we went all the way to Walmart. And for those that don't know, in the UK it's actually illegal to put something on a shelf with a price that is not what they charge at the checkout. So for those that equally don't know, in North America they do not add the tax on the price ticket, which to me is annoying. And from the perspective of a British person, that's like a shock. It's because it's illegal here to do that. You can't do that unless it's like one of those sort of like tax-free stores where you claim back your VAT, that's like a membership only store. Like that's the only thing, the only place where you can do that. And I'm like, so I take Pokemon Yellow to the checkout and she's like, that's $34. I can't remember like how much the amount was, but I had saved up only $30 and I burst into tears. Like legit. Like I'd saved up all of this money and this woman turns around and she's like, actually, it's not $30. And I was heartbroken. And my Nana was like, it's okay, I'll pay the tax. It's alright. So Nana bailed me out and bought me Pokemon Yellow. Because otherwise I would not have had it. And I was just so upset because I'd worked so bloody hard to get this game. And I was genuinely upset. And like, speaking of genuinely upset about not getting games, Amazon, I have been a victim of the Amazon thing where they have not shipped out Breath of the Wild. So today I am salty. I haven't got Breath of the Wild and I was looking forward to playing it after, you know, doing my video for today, but no. Thanks, Amazon. Called them up, I've got some compensation, but I'm still really bummed about it. And it's like, man, you think I like Steven Universe, but Zelda is my thing, like my big thing. Like I want like this whole arm as like a sleeve to Zelda, and yeah, so anyway, I'm not gonna be salty about Breath of the Wild. I'm okay. I'm chill. I've just been excited about this game for like 7 years. I'm okay. I'm chill. I'm so upset. But yeah, so that was my story of Pokemon Yellow, and I did get it in the end, obviously. So there's Charmander. I'm gonna leave him to dry because that tail is super wet. Like it's still blep. Okay, so next we have Squirtle. See what I mean about doing these in real time? There was no point in doing a speed paint. So let's answer some more questions while I clean my brush. What are some techniques you use to create more depth in your work with watercolour? Oh, I didn't know I created depth. I'd say, even though I'm kind of like guilty of not remembering this myself, if you do faraway objects with less saturation, that's how things are in real life, and it's something I need to practice more. But that tends to give a sense of depth as well. And also, I simplify things the further they are away. And Sardonic Tamago asked that question, and then again this question. What is general good advice you give to beginners of watercolour? Like I already said earlier, just have fun and find your way around rather than looking for solid tutorials. That's how I did it. I just sort of like put my feelers out and experienced it myself. Not that I have feelers, I'm not actually a bee, but some of you might be shocked to hear. But yeah, so we you Breath of the Wild. Oh. Oh no. Yeah, so just have fun and experiment early on, and then, you know, you can go and look at tutorials and get advice afterwards. And don't always listen to what people say, because like, what's good for you isn't What, someone else? Oh my gosh, I do apologise. Well, this is going to be an unedited real-time video, so you get all my yawns and you get all my mistakes. Okay. Let me get this mix. So we've got some blue here, so I might use this. So we need, actually no, that's a really greeny blue, so I'm going to put some more advice to like beginners of watercolour. Please just get cheap supplies. Don't go, I mean, this palette itself has come down a lot in price. A lot. So that is, you know, that is a good thing. So get yourself cheap supplies, cheap brushes, cheap paper, just enjoy it at first. Or maybe don't get cheap paper, because paper's not that expensive to get. Like, my first watercolour paper was actually Artist's brand, and it was very nice, and that might have actually helped me enjoy it more. So, you know what? Like, expensive paper but cheap watercolours. It's not even expensive paper, just go for nice paper. Okay, Telepath says, let me get this. It's not what they say. I'm gonna just... Okay, so this colour's going to be quite hard to do because it's a very, very cold cornflower blue. And we need to make sure we don't get into any of the green territory. But my blues are a touch mixed up. That might just work, actually. So another tip with watercolour is, wow, it looks super green on this webcam, but it's not, it's a really cold blue. Another tip for watercolours is always mix darker. You do not need a white to mix with watercolour. Your white is on your paper. This is your white. And you just add water to make it more see-through. That is how you do it. You do not use a white. Chuck that white out, okay? Chuck it out. Add a bit of water. And let's go. So you could hopefully see on this camera that it's a lot more of a colder blue. If you feel like you've put too much down and your brush is too wet, just get yourself some kitchen roll. That's another good thing for beginners, kitchen roll. Oh my god, get yourself some kitchen roll. It's great blotting paper. I use tissue at first and it's not as nice and you use it too fast. But yeah, kitchen roll. Get yourself some cheap ass kitchen roll, like that £1 stuff for 4 rolls in Morrison's, like that stuff. Get it and just keep it in your room. Don't let your mum get it in the kitchen. Or in my case, Ryan, because he's like, do you have any kitchen roll? And I never see it again. So Telepath says, do you prefer drawing Steven Universe characters your own? Well, Steven Universe characters are very inspiring, but I do prefer to draw my own characters. It depends what I'm in the mood for, because for me fan art is a emotional thing, not just drawing it because I can. I draw it because it's something that I emotionally connect to as well. When did you start being serious in art? When I was 15, that's when I decided to pursue a career in art and animation. Okay, there's a lot of questions in this. I'll pick some out. Which art programs do you recommend for digital art beginners? Paint Tool Sai is very good, but also if you can get hold of Photoshop, I don't see why not. Just don't be daunted by it. I mean, that was my first, and when I first started using Photoshop, I was like CS, like Photoshop 7, like really early on, and now there's so many more features. Do you find it relaxing to design characters? Very. It's what I feel like I was born to do in my job. Either storyboarding, story in general, or character design. It's just, I just love it. You know, when you connect with something so deeply. Yeah. Okay, so Squirtle's shell is mostly blue, white. So I'm just going to outline some with my pencil. Okay, Bumble making noise. He's cute. The Pokemon sprites are a good example of when you have a seriously limited colour palette. There we go, Squirrel's base colours, so let's let that dry. Do I practice backgrounds and landscapes nearly enough as you should? No, I don't. But I have a sketchbook that I am trying to get through with landscapes, so I'm probably going to do some of that today, actually. Thanks for reminding me. Camille's Cloud, how do I start off with watercolours? I recently got some and I don't know how to start. Like I said, just have fun. Try wet on wet or wet on dry, which is like what I've done here. Draw some of your favourite characters and have fun mixing their colours. Yeah, just sort of enjoy, really enjoy. I think I was very lucky because I had such a large palette to work with to start off with, because it'd been that cheap at the time. I just picked it up. But if I had more limited ones, I would try and teach myself how to mix watercolours more and get a feel for the type of, like, the way that the watercolours lay down. Like, just have a lot of fun. Maybe pick up some masking fluid as well, because that's also quite fun to use. Learn how to use masking fluid as well. Lots of people asking, like, what watercolours I recommend. Oh boy, 47 comments. Ooh, okay, we've gone from like 11 to 47. Let me just check Twitter. Okay, we'll check Twitter. So, Carter asked what's your favourite medium to use, and am I your favourite child? Of course, Carter. My favourite medium to use is digital, and then probably ink and brushes, and then watercolour. If watercolour was a person, how would you describe that person? That's such a good question. Colourful, and able to adapt easily. What exercises, tips do you have for improving with watercolour? And are you still having issues with Royal Mail? I sure am. For improving with watercolour, literally just practice. I've gone from what I started with, like, I actually hated watercolour this time last year before I started properly. And I just kept up. And get yourself a nice thick sketchbook. So, like, I usually use the Ryman ones, but obviously I've been using Moleskine, like, you know, that Art Plus ones, and they've got thick paper. They're not suitable for watercolour, but don't let them fool you. Just have fun, experiment. Is releasing a book a goal of yours? More so pitching a show. I would rather pitch it and direct a cartoon. What is your favourite colour in watercolour, Copics, or general? In general, yellow. In Copics, yellow. In watercolours, yellow. And also cobalt turquoise light. What advice do you have for someone starting commissions who don't know how to put their art out there? You can't, my biggest advice is do not be disheartened if you don't get bites early on. It took me years. I've been taking commissions since 2008. So it's like 10 years and it's still not a regular thing for me. So yeah. Make sure you price appropriately and don't offer too much. That's another thing. Like, I see commissions posts where they're like, this much, this much, this much. Or sorry, this, and this is this much, and this is, and it's like really complicated. And I'm like, I just want a sketch. But they've got like sketch in colour, sketch with colour, sketch this big, sketch that big, blah, 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 blah. And it's like, just say sketch. Just really, the less choice you give someone, the better. Because they will, like, you can't give them too much choice, because they'll be more likely to say, do you know what? No. That's my experience anyway. So, like, for example, it's the same at convention tables. I offer like one type of commission, and then sometimes I offer another type of commission, and that's it. Prints, I offer a small, a medium, and a really large. that's it. I don't offer a medium size, I don't offer anything in between. It's just, you know, it is what it is, and it stops people debating, which sounds like a nasty sales trick, but it's like, it's what I would want to see. If I go up to a table and they've got like A6, A5, A4, A3, and I'm like, well, I don't know which one I want. Well, if they had like A6 and A3 like I do, I'd be like, well, the small one's small and that one's that size. I'll pick the one that is most suitable. Paint on pencil or liner. Because it's messy up in here, I was going to seamlessly merge two colours. Paint on pencil or liner. I'm not quite sure what that means. I think my brain is doing a blip. So do you mean like painting on pencil or like straight onto line? I normally just do it straight onto line up, but I'm doing it on pencil this time because it's softer. How do I seamlessly merge two colours? Water with watercolour. Just water. Are pre-made pans better than watercolours that come in a tube or not? I mentioned this briefly earlier. I think it's down to preference. You do get stronger colours from a tube, but I'm not too fussed on that, so you know, that is what it is. So it's I think it's down to personal preference. So let's quickly go back to Instagram and do some more questions. There's a lot of questions. Oh no, what did I do? Let's make this colour again. So, let's see. I'm going to have to just like pick a few at random. What kind of brush is your favourite to use? Synthetic round, which is what I'm using right now. No animal product or anything like that. Let me just... Have I ever used watercolour pencils? I have. I really like them, I'm just not very good with them. Mel sent me some watercolour pencils and I really like them. I'm just like amazed by the vibrancy you can get from watercolour pencils. I'm like, what? They were like magic. And I also really like Derwent's Inktense. So but I can't afford a full set, so I think Derwent should be like, you know, Morgan, do you want to do a review? I'm like, yeah, boy. I'm joking. Although I would do a review for Derwent any day. Colours do I use to make skin tones? I think Iraville does a excellent skin colour tutorial with watercolours, so I'll just link that below, so check in the description. With digital art, what is better, Wacom Bamboo or Intuos? See, they're the same thing now. Like an Intuos used to be like the professional ones, but now it's an Intuos Pro. And I don't think there's much difference between them because they're just rebranded. So obviously a Cintiq is different, but tablets are tablets. So you know, you probably want to look into like whether you want a bigger size or not. But yeah, there's not much difference. Bamboo will be cheaper though because it's a discontinued range. So there you go. Any specific watercolours that I recommend? Yeah, Winsor & Newton, Cotman, and Professional. Can I talk about making skin tones? Like I said, there's a link in the description. Shadows and shading. Okay, so I tend to just use a more concentrated colour and add... Obviously this is a limited colour challenge for me. And it's sorry, just concentrating. With shadowing I normally add another pigment, a different colour, a different hue, and then use a more concentrated version of that. I'll do a full like watercolour Realtime one day. How do you create that edge? I think that's because I use dry media and I let it dry and I just like push it and leave it and don't like faff with it because like it's stronger here and yeah. How did I discover your style? I just kept drawing. It's the most boring answer ever, but like I just kept drawing and used my influences. My influences are things like the Cartoon Network shows, Rebecca Sugar, things like if we're going further back, it's things like Tank Girl and oh my god, Scott Pilgrim and things like that. Completely forgot then. Adventure Time, yeah. What the heck is the secret to watercolouring skin? Again, I'll put it in the description. Stretching watercolour paper, I'd have to do a proper video on that. The most notable difference between watercolours and inks. Inks are strong and you will have a bad time if you mess up with inks. But they're so much fun, so vibrant, and so gorgeous and just really good to experiment with. Watercolours are a little bit more forgiving. IMO. I didn't want an outline on your drawing. How would you go about it? See, I would like to attempt more lineless traditional work. I've seen Grace Craft. She's one of my favourite artists. She's incredible. Do lineless watercolour, and I think she lightbox traces it. So I think the only way to go about not having an outline on your finished piece is to lightbox it. In all fairness. Okay. Use some of this and then some of my Payne's Grey. I think it's Payne's Grey. It's like this pre-made pale grey, which is actually turning out to be super useful. What I've noticed with the professionals is that they, the professional half pans, they are there's a lot of colours pre-made, but it allows you to then make more interesting colours from their pre-made colours. So like Cobalt Turquoise Light is probably impossible to mix, so they've kind of pre-made it. Not impossible to mix, like it's very difficult to get a colour that vibrant without it being pre-made and pre-pigmented like that. So they make it, but then you adding that to other colours and using that means that your work then becomes more visually interesting, so that's another perk to professional. Speaking of which, let's get some of that going. Oh my god, look at it. It's my fave. It's just... I want it in the gouache as well, but I literally have no need. I don't need it. I don't need it. I don't need it. Okay. So we'll go back to Charmander, who looks like he's dry now, and we've got some outlining to do. What I'm going to do is... See, I've done the black on Bulbasaur, but it was more important on him because it was his spots. So I think the black with these guys, I'm going to do like a dark brown on Charmander. And I'm going to mix it with this brush, but then I'm going to show you a super special brush I'm going to use to outline. Okay, there we go. So it's more of like dark chocolate. So this is a rigger or a liner. This one's a Pro Art Acrylics, and I picked this up when I still worked at the art shop. And it looks like, so if I dry it off, well, I can't now. It tends to go really springy when you wet it, which is incredible. it then has like a springy body to it, and it stiffens up, which is really cool because it looks like the last brush you would ever pick to line art with because it's super long. Okay, my hand always goes to shaky when I... Damn you, medication. My medication makes my hands shake a bit. And then I think because I notice it, my hand's like, let's shake even more, why not? Never tried really line arting with watercolour before, but it's a very nice, interesting finish. And I think I'm going to do it again in the future. I have to speed this up because I'm not talking. I'm really concentrating. I apologise. Can't even think about something to talk about. I'm just super concentrating. I'll just make noise. Charmander is super adorable, but is my least favourite of the three. And I didn't have a Charmander until I played through Leaf Green a second time. That was the first time I'd ever chosen a Firestar, and I was about 22. Which is incredible, right? Actually, no, I think I was older than that. I think I was 23 because I was in Hong Kong. But I picked her out of like the three because I was like, you know what, I'm going to try something different. And it was a little girl, and I was like, I like instantly fell in love with her. And she's called Jaffa, and she's my Charizard, and I love her very much. She's the only Charizard I think I have, but she's still on the cartridge because I don't have the heart to like take her away. Gonna make the background a bit lined as well, just to sort of make it pop a bit against Charmander. There we go. And then I can sign it as well with this. There we go, there's Charmander all finished. Isn't she cute? Well, obviously other than the Pokedex info that I'm going to put at the top. Okay, so next we have Squirtle. So what am I going to outline Squirtle with? Just do a random mix of colours. Okay. No, I'm gonna just go darker. I use my indigo a lot, so there's a massive dint in it, and I'm fairly certain my indigo is professional, but it might not be. I'm not too sure. I use it an awful lot. There we go, that's the ticket. Really shouldn't mix colours with a liner brush. I'm just lazy. colouring his dead soulless eyes. Joke, Squirtle's eyes are really cute. Except that one's too big. No. Okay, so what you can do if you mess up with watercolour. What I tend to do is add a bit of water around it. And then use some faces. When I'm inking, or lining or outlining or whatever, I cannot talk. It's like my mouth seals up. It's creepy. No. That sounds a bit like, you can tell I've been watching creepypasta. You can tell. Whoopsie. I just happened to research some of my favourite ones, but I'm not going to talk about them too much because I know some people get super scared. Boy, I love creepypasta. Holy smokes. I'm super into like horror and spooks and things like that in general. Oh my god, why is that in my head? Get a copyright strike off YouTube, like, you were saying Donnie Darko, and I'm like, oh, sorry. It's a joke. I don't think anyone would actually abuse, well, I don't know, there's some drama on YouTube. Not going to talk about that either. I'm not a news channel, I'm not a drama channel. It's going to be weird not having music on this video because obviously it's a real time, so I'm not going to find an hour's worth of bloody music, am I? Okay, even though it looks like he's on a roof now, but that's okay. Sign it. Badly. Yay! I haven't signed Squirtle. Bulbasaur. God, look at me. I must be getting old because I can't pronounce the names of Pokemon. There we go. And then what I'm going to do is add a bit of pencil back in once they are dry. So you see, like, I've gone back into Bulbasaur and added just a touch of pencil to make him look sketchy. It's very faint, but it's a nice detail, I think. And yeah, so here we have the Pokemon. Like, I can't get them in shot. Oh dear. There we go. So thanks for watching, guys. This is a long video. I hope you liked it completely. I'm not going to edit it. I'm going to just let you hear all my mistakes and my nattering on. And thanks for asking questions. And I will see you guys tomorrow in my next video. Bye.